Hello students, I am Dr. Saleha Jamal, Faculty Department of Geography, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. So welcome to today's class. So here we are again in case study 2 related to the climate change and the landslides in Wayanad, Kerala. As we are in this series for studying the case studies, that is extreme weather events, climatic events due to the climate change. So today in this case study we have selected to study landslides and particularly landslide in Wayanad, Kerala. So first, before starting, we should understand what the landslides are. I am going to explain it in a very simple language. It can be defined as downslope movement of mass rock, either earth, soil or debris. Means mass rock or heavy amount, large amount of soil or any debris when it comes down the slope and it has a certain potential for the disaster, then it is known as a landslide. Generally, landslide occurs when the gravitational and other shear pressure within the slopes that exceeds, we can call it that surpasses the shear strength of the slopes material. Means the gravitational and the different shear pressure that is in the slope, within the slope, that is surpassed with the strength of the slopes material, then generally the landslide takes place. There are different causes of landslides. The few major one are when the downpour is very much strong, because we know the downpour or down movement of the earth, soil, that may take continuously in certain region. But when the downpour or downslope movement of the earth, rock, soil is very much strong and in larger amount, then it is called as landslide. It may be the earthquake may trigger the landslide, it may destabilize. Mainly you must have observed that the landslides are generally caused in the destabilized region, or we can say earthquake vulnerable regions, or even certain anthropogenic activities, or that may call it development activities. For example, a slope is cut in order to construct the road or some other built up things that may also trigger landslide. Landslides are also attributed to the climate change, the extreme weather changes that are taking place, that really triggers the landslide, and mainly we may call it due to the global warming, due to the changing pattern of precipitation, etc. Even there are various anthropogenic activities which triggers the landslides, like mining activity, quarrying activity, deforestation, etc. So these are the few major causes of the landslides. There are different types of landslides. Just we will see here few ones like rotational and translational landslide. When we talk about the rotational landslides, it means it occurs when the slide surface is curved. Means the sliding surface is somewhat, we can say, curved, then it is known as rotational slide. On the other hand, when we call the translational slide, it occurs on a flat inclined surface. When the surface is flat and inclined, then we say the translational landslides. Even the landslides are also known as rock falls. When there is free falling of the rock, large amount of rock material that is detached from the slope, detached from the rock, or we can say from a steep slope or cliff, then the landslide may occur. So rock falls itself, the word signifies that free falling of the detached rock. From where this detached rock comes? From the slope or a cliff. So that is known as rock falls. Then another type is debris flow. When we call it debris, it is a fast moving of a landslide, mainly consists of water saturated rock and soil. Debris itself, the word here it is suggesting on any mountainous region, on cliffs, slopes, there may be the rocks, or even we can say there may be the soils. When there is a fast movement of landslides of water saturated rocks or soil, that is known as debris flows. Many times when there is movement of water saturated soil down the slope, it is also known as mudslides. We can also call it as mudslide. Another type is earth flows. Earth flows, simply it is the slow movement of fine grained materials, often which is triggered by the water saturation. When the fine grained materials get saturated with the water and comes down the slope, then it is known as earth flows. Although there are many more types of slides, but few major ones we have seen here. You can just see rotational slide. When it is the surface is curved, when we call it translational, it is somewhat we can say flat and inclined. When we call it block, the whole block comes down the slope, the whole block of rock comes down the slope, then it is known as block slide. Rock foil, that is large amount, heavy amount of rock when it is detached from a cliff and then the slope, it is known as rock fall. Similarly, there are debris flow, earth flow, all that we have seen. There are various types of slides. Now, as we are here concerned with the case study, so before proceeding for the Wayanad landslide, let us see the geographical features of the Wayanad. Actually, Wayanad is a district in northeastern part of the Kerala in India, and it is a highland region. Because mostly we know landslide regions are mostly the hilly region or high altitude regions. So, Wayanad also has the average altitude of 700 to 1200 meters above sea level. You can see here 700 to 2100. So, it is a highland region and it is mainly characterized by the undulating topography, undulating hills, deep valleys and even steep slope. So, these features makes this region highly susceptible to landslide because it is having undulating hills, deep valleys, steep slopes. And when we see its soil composition, mostly it consists of the loamy soil. Maybe it may be red loam, lateritic soil, forest loam, etc. And these soils are prone to erosion very much because especially it is on steep slopes that it may be vulnerable to erosion, which even lead to higher risk of landslide during the monsoon time, when during the region gets heavy rainfall. So, these all characteristics, undulating topography, valleys, steep slope, soil mainly prone to erosion. So, these things, when it is paralleled by the heavy rainfall, then the risk of landslides is triggered. This is a map showing the Wayanad. Already I have said it is a district in the northeastern part of Kerala. When seeing its geographical feature, when we generally see the rivers and the water bodies, the Wayanad is mainly drained by the various rivers. Most important one is the Kabani rivers and its tributaries, and the presence of these rivers increases the soil saturation during the monsoon period. Thus, the soil becomes saturated and the risk of, because it is already it is a slopy region, high altitude region, and these rivers saturates the soil during the monsoon. These all things contribute to the slope instability, thus triggering the landslide. Even Wayanad lies in the region of moderate seismic activity. Although it may not be the primary cause for the landslide, but still the tremors can destabilize these slopes and can also trigger the landslide. How the climate change is impacting the landslide, particularly in Wayanad, because in the climate change era, what we are observing, that is, this is the era of global warming, that is increase in global temperature. And we have seen also the changing pattern of the temperature in this climate change era, and also the changing pattern of the rainfall. So, if we see the data about the Wayanad, we generally analyze that over the recent decades, the global climate has caused the changes, the shifts in the intensity of the rainfall, in the distribution of the rainfall, particularly in this Wayanad district, overall Kerala or overall the whole region even we can say. So, shift has been seen in the intensity, severity and the distribution of the rainfall. The rainfall became more heavier in this region, and even more intense and sudden rainfall is generally observed during the monsoon region, and which increases also the risk of flooding and the landslide. So, like this the climate change is impacting and can also trigger the landslide. So, erratic monsoon, we can say shift in the intensity of the rainfall, distribution pattern of the rainfall, and even the unpredictable monsoon timings, these all things can trigger landslides in this region. You can see the picture before the landslide in a Wayanad and after the landslide. You can see how much different, the beautiful picture. The first one is a so much beautiful picture, and the second one you can see that is almost it is devastated. So, other reason we see climate change, because we know there are several causes of climate change. One of them, major among them, is deforestation and land use changes. So, in response to increasing population, the demand for the food is increasing, the demand for the residential area, agriculture area, commercial area is increasing, which is changing the land cover. The natural terrain is generally disturbed. Even the agriculture expansion have disturbed the natural terrain and even the water bodies. So, the combined effect of the changing weather patterns plus the changed land use, land cover, this and the vulnerability of the soil to the soil erosion, these all things together worsens the impact of climate change, which in turn impacts and triggers the landslide. So, more frequent with this climate change, the more frequent weather events have been observed in several regions of the world, and among those major events, the disasters, landslide is one, and here we have taken the Wayanad region in Kerala as our case study, and Wayanad has experienced more frequent severe landslides in the recent year. That is why we have chosen this region as our case study. And if we see what are the historical context of landslide in the Wayanad after analyzing its geographical features and how it is the landslides are triggered by the climate change, the history about the landslides in the Wayanad region. You should know that this region have consistently posed challenges in the Wayanad. According to the Center for Earth Sciences Studies, that has designated Wayanad and Kozhikode borders as one of the state's most susceptible landslide region. Means the studies have also suggested, according to the Earth Science Studies, that this particular region is one of the most susceptible to the landslide. And if we take the example, because I have said that this region is consistently posed the challenge of landslide. So, if we see the data, you can see here the Mundakai debris flow in 1984 with certain fatalities, then Kapikalam landslide that is having another 11 deaths, and then we have the Valamthude landslide on June 23, 2007 with 4 deaths. So, these are continuously, intermittently this region is posed for the landslide. This I have put here a very old picture, that photograph from the 1984. People of Mundakai watch across a vast area washed away by the landslide. See how much disaster have taken place, and this Mundakakai landslide that occurred in 94 with 14 fatalities, devastation of prime agricultural land that is clearly visible through these photographs. Now, coming to the recent landslide of the Wayanad, which we have analyzed, that is the landslide of 2024. The Wayanad landslide of 2024 occurred on July 30, 2024, which affected various villages of the Wayanad district in Kerala in India. So, it affected various districts. Among those villages, few names have been given here if you want to see here. Then the reasons behind that, various scientists, scholars, they analyze the reason, what are the major reason for this much severe landslide, and they come out with few of them. Major one is due to the intense precipitation which precipitated the hillside erosion, means the detachment of the rock, soil that occurred due to the heavy precipitation which precipitated the hillside erosion, that resulted in landslide and devastated the region beneath. This catastrophe resulted in about 420 fatalities, 397 injuries and 118 individuals unaccounted, thus making it one of the most catastrophic events in Kerala's history. Because I have said that this Wayanad region is consistently posed to the challenges of the landslide, and in history we have seen few of the landslide, but just see the fatalities, in 14 fatalities, 11 deaths, 4 deaths. But when we are talking about this Wayanad landslide of 2024, it was so much devastating that almost 420 fatalities took place, 118 individuals were unaccounted, almost, that you may understand, students, here. So, this is the massive landslide in Wayanad, Kerala, where it occurred. Most affected villages are, that is Churalmala, here you can see, and here you can see Mundakai. These are the just 1.5 kilometer away from each other, the villages that were hit by the landslide in Wayanad in 2024. Coming to its background, this Wayanad region is susceptible. We know that now it is very much susceptible to the landslide, and among the studied also it is given as one of the landslide prone area, because the hill, if we see its background, the hill consists of the eroded and collapsed mountain that borders the Deccan Plateau. Just see its location, like location of Kerala, that generally it is one of the eroded and collapsed mountain borders of the Deccan Plateau, and this region was created from the disintegration of the supercontinent Gondwana, that is from the we can say Pangaea. When Pangaea broke into two parts, Angara land and the Gondwana land, this part came from the Gondwana land, and Wayanad emerged along India's west coast when subcontinent was separated from the African continent. This is somewhat about the history, student, and you must be knowing also. Now, the steep gradient is from east to west. For this region I am talking about, the steep gradient is from east to west, which directs certain rivers originating here in the western Ghats that ends in the Arabian Sea. Means the general direction is of this region, this undulating topography is from east to west. So, the rivers, they flow westward towards the western Ghats in the end in the Arabian Sea. The region is also drained by the several smaller streams also, and if we see the 2020 disaster mitigation documents from Mepadi government, which indicate that the Mundakai, Churalmala, then we have the Puthumala, Atamala, Velithodu, and then we have Thirikaipata and the Kotathrawal. These are all specially susceptible to the flash floods and the landslide. This is given in the Mepadi government mitigation document. So, already they have shown these regions are prone to the landslide. Now, in this region, what are the climatic factors that led to the landslide? It was analyzed that due to the heavy rainfall, intense precipitation, this delicate ecosystem was we can say which is very much susceptible to the landslide. The intense precipitation aggravated the susceptibility to the landslide and even the population pressure. Because of population pressure, the land cover is changing. So, collectively these instigated several slides intermittently at different times. The region, if we see for this 2024, the region had almost 140 millimeter precipitation over 24-hour period from Monday to Tuesday. Just think, 140 millimeter of precipitation, which was analyzed approximately 5 times than anticipated amount. So, it is very much intense precipitation, and although we know it is having a delicate ecosystem and it is also accompanied by the different land cover changes, and as it is a hilly terrain with the sharp slopes, and according to the Landslide Atlas published by the Indian Space Research Organization National Remote Sensing Center in 2023, it is indicated that 10 of the 30 districts that is most susceptible to the landslide in India are situated in Kerala, with Wayanad which is positioned at 13th place. Means several reports have already said that this region is very much susceptible to the landslide. You just see, when I have said that because of heavy precipitation. So, this map shows that the total rainfall on 30th July 2024 based on data from the Indian Meteorological Department. Dark blue here, dark blue color, these are the dark blue color which indicates high total daily rainfall, while yellow color that indicates the low total daily rainfall. So, just you can imagine the intensity of rainfall, the severity of the rainfall from this map. If we talk about the human factors that contributed to the Wayanad landslide, because why? The climate change is going on mainly due to the anthropogenic factors we have talked about. Among those, if we are talking about in particular to the Wayanad landslide, loss of green cover has been aggravated from past decades. A 2021 study on landslide hotspots in India indicated 59% of the total landslide in Kerala mainly happened in plantation regions. Means when deforestation occurs, we lose the natural green cover which holds the soil indifferently, and when we analyze the data, most of the landslide occur in the plantation region, mainly of tea, coffee and spice plantation. These plantations have disturbed these fragile ecosystem. Why I am saying fragile ecosystem? Because it was already given in the report by Madhav Gadgil. This region comes under the eco-sensitive zone. So, because of this plantation, the fragile ecosystem has been disturbed, which increased the vulnerability towards the soil erosion leading to the landslide. So, among the human factors which attributed to the climate change is mainly to the loss of green cover. And second most important reason that was analyzed, that is warming of the Arabian Sea. Due to the climate change, warming of Arabian Sea took place, and which is one of the most important contributing factor to the state's intense and heavy erratic rainfall patterns, thus instigating the landslide. Several research have been seen the trend that the deep cloud system that resulting from the warming of the Arabian Sea, due to which heavy and intense rainfall was observed in this region. Even though certain negligence in environmental negligence we can say that have been occurring in this region in terms of the mining, quarrying, mainly if we see the report of 2011 of Madhav Gadgil about the Western Ghats Ecology Expert Panel, which was mainly established by the government under the Madhav Gadgil, that advocated for the designation of Wayanad hill ranges as ecologically vulnerable zone. Means He urged to stop all the anthropogenic activities like mining, quarrying, deforestation or certain projects for the power plants in this region, but still the negligence has been observed. The panel even advised 75% the expanse of the mountains to be designated as ecologically vulnerable, mainly due to the dense forest, numerous endemic species and distinctive geology. We know this whole region, the Western Ghat, comes under the one of the hotspots of the biodiversity. According to this report, the prohibition on mining, quarrying, new thermal power plants, hydropower projects, large-scale wind energy initiatives, that was advised. Even the panel recommended, even the panel recommendations have remained unimplemented for 14 years. This shows the clear negligence about the environment. So, just see, this is the percentage of the land that is very highly susceptible to the landslide in Kerala district wise. If you see the Wayanad, the percentage came approximately location of the major landslide near Mepadi on July 30. It is almost 31.54% of Wayanad is very highly susceptible to the landslide. Among all the regions, if you see, you can find the Wayanad is the most susceptible region in Kerala for the landslide. There were several impacts of the landslides because it was a severe disaster, one of the most disastrous catastrophe in the Kerala's history. It took several human life, 420 fatalities, and even 397 were injured and many of them were unaccounted. And even it is a disaster, it does not only took the death toll, but the certain property and commercial loss have been observed. The roads, infrastructure were destroyed, the livestock, the crops, all these things are destroyed. Just you see a view of the landslide hit area. You can imagine the disaster it has posed. Loss of land, transport and communication, that was all very much disturbed. The collapse of the bridge that connected the settlements of Mundakai and Atamala left around 400 families stranded. So, here what we have analyzed, we can conclude that that although this region is susceptible to landslide due to the factors like being a high altitude region, slopy area, but due to the climate change, the climate change factors like climate change patterns like changes in weather pattern, changes in temperature, changes in precipitation pattern, due to which in this region at that time a heavy and intense rainfall was observed, which aggravated the landslide. Not only this, due to the warming of the Arabian Sea, deep clouds were formed and heavy and intense rainfall took place, and which exacerbated the possibility of landslide in this region, that causing a severe disaster that remains a very severe catastrophe in Kerala's history. So, that is all for today's lecture, students. Thank you. Have a nice day.